We fought and we won. In the Republican field, there are some who are good fighters. They haven't won those battles. There are others who've won elections but haven't consistently taken on the big fights. You showed you can do both. Now I'm running for president to fight and win for the American people.
Seeing as this is a day ending in the letter Y, there must be a new candidate for President of the United States. There must also be another ridiculous insistence about marriage emanating from the left coast. And knowing we've reached full-bore campaign when a candidate is being turned into a piñata. To make sense of it all and possibly more, let us welcome reporter for Watchdog.org, a network of reporters covering government waste and abuse. Also staff writer at the Federalist, Bre Payton, joined by fundraising strategist at Eberle & Associates, working just outside the Beltway. That gets our sympathies right there, Ben Walters. I want to thank you both for joining us. All right, let's go ahead and get to work. Hey, Bre, I'm going to go ahead and start with you. Scott Walker says, I'm in, puts out the tweet. Maybe he made the right move in waiting this long to get in because he kind of can be the newbie here, but how's he going to get past what Donald Trump's saying these days?
Well, I think, that it's really a strategic move to kind of let Donald Trump dominate the headlines right now. Scott Walker has really been leading the polls for the past 5 months without even having to declare his candidacy for president. So I think it's really strategic on his part.
So, Ben, if we look at a guy like Scott Walker, he's younger, he's Republican, he's got what it takes, he's what people want, he's not 7,000 years of age, doesn't tell kids to get off his lawn. I mean, is it possible, Ben, that he's doing real good in Iowa right now, that he just might be the perfect choice?
Absolutely. He gave a great speech in January. Ever since then, he's been in the top rung of the polls. He's recently taken some time off, not off, but away from the campaign trail to focus on beefing up on the foreign policy. It may have hurt his fundraising numbers just a little bit, but I think he'll regain that momentum with the fundraising as soon as he launches this Winnebago tour. Did you see that?
No, I'm afraid to see any politician running around the country in a Winnebago. I'm scared to death of that.
I mean, that'll grab some media headlines, and the fundraising will come right along with it.
Well, but let me ask you this, and Ben, I'll stay with you on this one. Some people call Scott Walker boring. All right, now wait. Is it better to have a boring candidate or somebody who's bombastic and spits out exactly what people want to hear?
Well, I think it's better to have a boring candidate for sure. And, I'm not one of those people that agrees with that altogether. I think that Scott Walker's a plenty interesting candidate. I mean, he was just on a Harley Davidson just last month. I haven't seen Hillary on a Harley Davidson.
Yeah, but you got to be real careful. I'm an old motorcyclist. I've had a bike since I was 5 years old. We see a lot of nerds on Harleys these days. We got to be real careful of that. Hey, Bre, let me get it to you right now, because with regard to that, Scott Walker, he's got all the right things. He's got the right pedigree in many ways. He fights the unions, but is he an exciting guy that you want to get excited about and get out there and vote for?
Well, I think boring works for him, actually. He, during his time as governor, he's done everything that he's promised to do. He stood up to unions. He improved the economy. Wisconsin has a budget surplus currently. So I think that, his record as governor really speaks for himself, and he doesn't have to light himself on fire to get attention.
Well, in some places there are people who want to light piñatas on fire, which is a wonderful transition to our next point here. There's Trump piñatas are in demand as the protesters in California want to do whatever they can to get to Donald Trump and make their ire known here. Bre, it would seem, if you were to talk to Donald Trump in a moment of candor, he would say, let him light, go ahead, do whatever you want. It doesn't bother me in the least. I'm going to continue just as I am.
Sure. Well, I think that, Donald Trump really does have a point about illegal immigration. And I think that, it's quite possible that El Chapo, might come back into the United States and, kind of terrorize people here. But I think that his, inflammatory rhetoric is probably not the best medium to express that. But, like you said, he doesn't really care, it seems.
Ben, you got to give the guy some chops no matter what. Hate him, love him. He's out there. He spits it out, and people are eating it up. Maybe for once just because they're sick and tired of hearing from politicians, and they don't believe anything they hear from a career politician in the first place.
Right, and to address the piñatas, I got to tell you that there's probably a lot in the GOP that wish they could be out there whacking Trump around a little bit. But, I got to give it to the protesters. It seems that they know the object of their protest pretty well as they're using such unconventional tactics to grab media attention here.
All right, let's go to our last thing here with about a minute or so that we have left. And Bre, I'm going to come to you with the first one on this. In California, there is a Democrat, Louis Capps of California, who wants to pass a bill, legislation that would eliminate the words husband and wife from federal law. Come on, this is now getting a little bit ridiculous here, is it not?
Yes, I would agree with you. But I think, it's kind of the next logical step, given the context of the recent Supreme Court ruling. Like, I think it kind of makes sense that we're going to kind of scrub gender-specific language like husband and wife.
But you would want to be known as somebody's wife. I mean, isn't it fair? I mean, I don't know if you're married or not, but you don't have a problem with that, would you?
Yeah, I probably definitely would have a problem with it. But like I said, I think it's kind of, logical and kind of like, I think the Supreme Court kind of changed lanes. And I think that we're just continuing to drive down that path.
All right, Ben, 30 seconds. Too far, or is this necessary?
Political correctness run amok. It doesn't surprise me that it's a congresswoman from California. They've been out there tackling the pressing issue of gender-specific restrooms, and I think that they've got bigger problems. Unemployment in California is higher than the national average. Her constituents want jobs, not word police.
Look, I'll tell you what, as long as they don't tell me that I have to call my dogs four-legged quadrupeds, I think I'm going to be all right. But let's kind of leave the political correctness away, shall we? Bre Payton, Ben Walters, pleasure to have you both on the show. Thanks so much for joining us. We will talk again. A reminder, we're talking about Donald Trump here. Newsmax will air a full hour of Donald Trump's Arizona speech Tuesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern. And repeating again at midnight Eastern time as well. Plus, you can always go to Newsmax.com and you can find it there. Stay with us. Coming up next, Dollars and Cents, the Money Master, right here on MidPoint.